Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, I have something perfect to share with you. It is perfect for spooky season. This is going to be the show that you are going to want to curl up with your loved ones and get. I can't cuss right now, but you're going to get scared bleepless. Truly, I was so creeped out by the first episode of this. Now, this is wild. It's on the Travel Channel. It premieres this Sunday, October 1st. There are, I think I just finished the final episode, which was a 2-part episode, but it's going to air one each week. And it's kind of ingenious is that we have none other than legend Jax Osbourne exploring the most spine-chilling destinations across America with not only his famous family, which we all know and love them, but also his closest celebrity friends. Jax Osbourne has been a staple on reality television. He has done so much in his life so far, and to find out that he is paranormal investigating blew me away. This show is so worth your time. Jax Osbourne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. That's quite the intro.
I could have kept going. I was researching all the times that you have come across, even I was watching Special Forces this week. You were on that. And then I looked into this. You've been doing this for a long time. You have been paranormal investigating. This is the obvious question. What got you into this?
I grew up watching the X-Files. So when I was like 11, 12, 13, like that was my world. I was obsessed with that show. And I could just remember being a kid going like, oh man, it'd be so cool to have a job like that if I grew up and blah, 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 knowing full well it's like not real. And like I watched X-Files enough and had researched it enough to know that the FBI doesn't secretly have some, hidden away Fox Mulder in a basement. But it was just a hobby. And so I would research certain elements of the fringe, whether it was Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, UFOs, ghosts. And as I got older, it kind of, my interest in it was always there, but it wasn't nearly as, apparent when I was a kid. And then in 2011, I got asked to go do a paranormal investigative show, and I jumped at it. So
yeah, you did Portals to Hell, Haunted Homecoming. This was not your first rodeo. How many investigations have you been on thus far?
Man, okay, so between all the shows, it's got to be close to 100. Because I did, let's see, 8, 10, so 18. Yeah, it's got to be close to 100.
I gotta say though, like that first episode, I didn't expect what I was getting into, and it was just so eerie. And I will say a compliment to you. You are such a sure-footed host. Like, you are solid. Like, I would be pissing my pants, and you were just like, well, that's very interesting. Yes, if you're in the room, can you make this little light? I would have been crying, and you were like, you guys, he brings his mom on the first one, and I'm like, she's a national treasure, and he's putting her at risk. Why was your mom the perfect first guest for this episode?
It just kind of it happened that way. We got the green light for the series. It was approaching the holidays. We found a location that was close to LA. My mom had the week off. We were like, let's go do this. And so it just came to be. And we were not expecting what happened, clearly. I don't want to give too much away, but it's in the teaser for the trailer. My mom collapsed and ended up in hospital, and we don't know really what the hell happened to her. She doesn't know.
You guys, the first one is at a place called the Glen Tavern Inn. Each week, it's a different location that they go to. And I will say it does. It just ends. It packs such a punch that I went and started researching. I was like, really? Did she really go to the hospital? Did she because it was so real and eerie that I couldn't believe it was happening.
And that's the thing. I think, listen, there's so many paranormal shows out there, and it's really obvious when people are bullshitting. We've all seen it. We've all seen episodes of shows where someone's getting possessed and all this craziness is happening, and you're kind of like, eye roll, okay, sure, wow, that would be cool if that was real. But this was what ended up happening with her. We had a kind of collective conversation where we were like, listen, if this is a medical thing, we're not going to show it because we can't, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, look, my mom just had a stroke. Let's put it on
Yeah.
TV. Um, but she was in hospital for 2 days. They ran every test imaginable, brain scans, heart scans, sleep test, like everything, absolutely everything. And the only thing they found was that her electrolyte levels were slightly off. Now, I've been slightly dehydrated in my life. I've never passed out for 20 minutes and stopped breathing.
You guys, there's an image in here of Sharon Osbourne when this thing happens. You'll have to watch. And it really has stuck with me since I've seen it. I mean, it's just a really stunning image of somebody that we all have watched. So like, it's really, really eerie. And it's an eerie hour of television to begin with. I do wonder, though, what made you continue after this happened, because you had to do more episodes after this. You're 100 adventures in. I mean, at a certain point, how do you carry around this heaviness? How do you keep doing this? Why do you keep doing this?
It definitely changed the way I feel about things. I had, in all the investigations I've done, I've never felt like, in there was a couple places where I felt as if the vibe there was genuinely evil. I've always been a bit of a naysayer about people who get scratched or pushed or anything like that. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, I've had experiences where it felt like I was being touched, but I've never been scratched. I've never seen a full body in all the 100 episodes I've done for paranormal investigation. I've never seen a full bodied apparition. I've never encountered something which I was definitively like, no, that's a demon from the seventh ring of hell, and he's Beelzebub's best friend. Like, anything like that. So I always just kind of was like, I don't know. I think it's more of a human take of things. But this fully changed me. I have a different outlook on things. It was very it was real. It was as real as it
Yeah.
gets.
I mean, but the stories that come out in these adventures, I mean, even in the first one at the Glen Tavern Inn, the owner and her daughter, I mean, they're telling these horrific stories of beheadings, of children. Like, so many people had died at the Glen Tavern Inn. I mean, just to hear those stories, to hear so many of them. And you've said in the past that hauntings are potentially different timelines, getting closer together, things like that. And it's just really intense to think about the reality of those situations and that you put yourself in the middle of it week in, week out.
Well, someone's got to do it.
That's why I was like, this is our Ghostbusters. We need three more people around you. You have your sister on in the very last episode. You had already scared her to death in a previous iteration. I mean, why would she even come back to try this again with you at the very end?
I think so when Kelly did her very first investigation with me, I remember day one, we get in the van, we're going to this location in LA. This was a few years ago. And I handed her some ghost hunting tools, and she just like rolled her eyes. She's like, this is just her exact words. She's like, this is just a bunch of nerds in a basement making toys and playing pretend. She used a few more, swear words in between. But I believe, and she would tell you this, she's had experiences would have irrefutably changed her perspective on things. And fortunately, everything we've encountered has been relatively mellow. I wouldn't say anything overly sinister, overly evil, overly dark. But she's had experiences, and I think she realizes that there's something to this. It might not be what we're all saying it is. It might not be the consciousness of a once living human, but she's having experiences, she's seeing things, she's feeling things, she's collecting evidence. So
Yeah.
she believes that there's something to it.
Why do you think it is so important for like these shows are wildly popular? I mean, I really got into this, and I think a lot of people will, but why do you think it's so important for us to believe? Like, you talked about the X-Files, like we want to believe. Why is it so important that we believe in? I mean, it's just one of those things that I think a lot of us want this to be true so badly.
I think it falls into the same bucket as the God question. It can't be it. It can't just be we live this life, and then the moment that
Yeah.
our central nervous system and our lungs and our heart and our brain shuts down, we cease to exist, and our energy just shuts down. And we know energy, we are batteries. Energy can't just disappear. It has to turn into something else. We just don't know what that is. And so it's the greatest mystery of in mankind. What happens when we die? Where do we go next? Do we go? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell?
Yeah.
Is there something else? Is there a different reality we just transcend into? I don't know. And I jokingly say this: the only way we're ever really going to find out, and it's two things.
I,
Can you make a weapon out of it, or can you become a billionaire out of it? That's the only two ways we're ever going to find out if there is life after death.
You have like all of these guest stars. I believe, it's like you have Jenny McCarthy. You have all of these other, people joining you on these ghost adventures. I think this will probably continue. I think it definitely will. Who is your dream celebrity friends or celebrities? Who would you want to bring with you if you could bring anybody?
Man, I really, really love working with Jay and Jamie because we laugh so much. It's almost too hard to get things done because we're just hysterically laughing and joking around the entire time. But let's see, someone new. Who would I bring with me? Just purely for my kids' sake, I would have to say Taylor Swift. I'm not necessarily a Swiftie, but I know that if I called my kids and was like, "Hey, Taylor Swift is coming to do a ghost hunt with me," they would absolutely die. And they would have to come along.
Dad, yeah. I believe in ghosts. Let me come. I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Although I don't let my kids come on ghost hunts. Not after what happened with my mom. I'm not really looking to put anyone in my family in a weird position anymore.
I mean, that's got to be so interesting to have those conversations with your kids, though, because when I was growing up, I mean, you talked about a story about you and Kelly being in your childhood home and stuff like that, and thinking like a burglar was breaking in and the wood was creaking, and that was my worst fear as a kid, was like an intruder just burglarizing in the middle of the night. I mean, do your kids have honest conversations with you about the paranormal?
Yeah, we do. We have lots of conversations about it, and my eldest daughter, I think, is a little more in tune with stuff, and she's told me she's seen some things, and we just have an honest dialogue. I don't get to use the age old ghosts aren't real, that's just your imagination. I'm because of my career choice, I'm not afforded that that opportunity to just dismiss it. So we just talk about it, and my kids all know what I do, and they all, I think they appreciate that there is a possibility that ghosts are real.
Also, I think you should actually take Elon Musk. You said billionaires. If we can get a billionaire in there, we can really figure out if this is real or not.
Right. I feel like if I had Elon Musk there, it would it'd be awesome. I would just like to train on some things. But well, I mean, case in point, Robert Bigelow. He was a billionaire, and he's doing tons of research into the kind of spirit realm. So there is,
yeah,
who knows? Maybe one of these billionaires will decide to write a Twitter-sized check, and
that's all it'll take. In this show, I geeked out just from a technological aspect. I love toys. I loved Ghostbusters. But can you explain some of the ghost hunting, paranormal hunting tools? You had the electromagnetic meter. What do you take on these adventures?
So it's all spaghetti on the wall. We don't really know definitively, ghosts operate in this energy spectrum wave, so we're going to use this device. It's guessing. So there's something called a Mel meter, and a Mel meter has it has a thermometer. It has a REM pod in it, which is like this. It emits its own electromagnetic kind of bubble, and if anything that has an electromagnetic frequency or anything breaks that bubble, it will sound off. So you can hold a cell phone next to it and it will go off. But if you held a plastic fork next to it, it wouldn't. It's because your cell phone's emitting a signal, but a human hand will trigger it, but a rock won't. So it's a really kind of interesting device. And it's three or four devices in one. I use it all the time because it's small, it's handy, and you can get a lot out of it. I use things like we use a
What were
infrasound.
the balls that
Cat
light
balls.
up? Yeah.
Cat balls. I mean, cat balls are I have had some success with. They're just these motion activated, like they're the motion lights inside of a ball, and if the ball moves, these lights will start blinking and flashing. It's literally a cat toy. But people have had some great documentation with it. So it's kind of, I use these, an old flashlight. I've had great results with those things turning on and off on command, and they're not like a fancy remote operated flashlight. It's a shitty gas station old mag light.
What was the thing that had it was like AM FM frequencies, but it goes backwards,
Yep.
and then it actually could potentially catch some kind of thing. But like, who would even think to do AM FM frequencies at the same time backwards?
I don't know. It's like these ghost hunters, they just start to figure stuff out and go, well, what if this works? What if that works? And you get weird results, and you're like, wait, that shouldn't make sense, but I can hear a voice clearly. I shouldn't be able to. And I mean, I was the biggest naysayer of ghost boxes. I was like, hey, you're just finding familiar sounds within chaos. It's like looking at the cloud and being like, oh, look, I see a carrot. Like you're matrixing is the term that we'll use. But I've had times where clear as day, I'll be like, how many people are in the room right now? And it will give me the number of people in the room. My iPhone can't even do that.
Not yet. That's iPhone 16.
That's wait till Chat GPT and iPhones merge.
What was your funnest moment of the season? We know the worst moment was potentially hurting your mom, but what was the most fun?
I really had a lot of fun working with Jenny McCarthy. She's great. I've literally known Jenny McCarthy since I was a kid. So it was fun to work with her and ghost hunt. She's a real enthusiast. I laughed for 5 days straight working with Jay and Jamie. It was so much fun. So probably those, and then being in Virginia City with Kelly for the last episode was awesome. And she's not in the episode, but I brought my daughter with me on that trip, and it was a very memorable, fun time.
As we start winding down, can you speak to a little bit? I mean, your family really does mean so much in terms of reality television, pop culture, entertainment across the board. You guys, even watching you guys on that final 2-part episode together in the beginning, even your dad makes these appearances, and immediately it picks right back up where I felt like the Osbournes left off. And I get such a good feeling watching your family when you're in that, when you guys have obviously it's your family. I'm like, you guys are so natural together. It's your family, but do you realize the impact your family has had in terms of pop culture, reality television, obviously music, but you're able to do things like ghost hunting where I'm like, oh, I trust Jack Osbourne. I'll go watch that show.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's one of those things that I don't dwell in it. And just because, I do interviews with people like yourself and they mention it. And so that's only whenever I think about it. It is cool to have been a part of a show which helped pave a way for an entire genre.
Yeah.
Can't take full credit for, a lot of people will, but we can't. We were one of, we were the first of many shows that came out in that time period that really set the tone and the climate for non-scripted television. But it was, it's cool. It was fun to be a part of. I was talking about this the other day. I would never want it again though. It was so much. It was such a. It was a really big show. It had a lot of eyeballs watching it. We had a lot of fame very early on. And if someone said to me, "Hey, like switch roles and be the Kardashians," there's no amount of money in the world you could give me. Like I love the fact that I can walk out of my office and go to Subway and the corner store to get a drink, and no one is going to stop me, say anything. I rarely get recognized. And if I do, it's someone who knows about the paranormal or is interested in something that I've done since the Osbournes. And so I like having a little bit of anonymity.
I mean, you were a kid. I mean, we watched you kind of essentially, obviously, grow up. What is your, once again, Glen Tavern is the first episode, Tavern Inn with your mom. I mean, I just kept thinking, what does your mom truly think about you paranormal? I mean, and also so many people have been I was like, these ghosts are going to be scared of Sharon. These ghosts are going to be scared of your mom, not the other way around. What does she think about you doing this?
Kind of like Kelly's approach early on. I think my mom thought it was all just like, all right, it's just people playing pretend. It's a bit of theatrics. But she had experiences that she cannot wrap her head around. And so it's definitely changed her. I think she has a little more appreciation for what goes into making a paranormal show and how actually hard it is. It's not easy. It's long days and a lot of long nights, and it's you're in usually pretty uncomfortable, cold, damp, scary environments, and it takes a toll. And I mean, she saw it firsthand. It took a toll on her for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine every time you have a Glen Tavern Inn, you have a lot of experiences that don't add up to anything because you're going fishing. You're seeing what's out there.
Exactly. It's fishing for sure. There are times when we'll go a whole night and nothing crazy happens, and then all of a sudden, the next morning or whenever you go back in, some crazy shit happens, and you're like, what was that? We what's a memory that sticks out is that when I was doing Portals to Hell, we went to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia. And this place is known for being one of the most paranormal, scared, evil, crazy places. Like, people get stuff there on camera, which is like nothing you've ever seen. So we were there for days and days, and it was creepy. It felt weird. There was a few bumps and bangs, but it wasn't anything it wasn't flying off the rails. And then all of a sudden we ended up in this room, and the entire episode, the stuff that happened in the hour and a half we were in this room, that's what the episode was, because it was so profound and so crazy and so interactive that anything else that happened for the 4 days prior to that was nothing compared to it. So you never know you never know what kind of experience you're going for. And that's why ghost hunting has never really answered the true question, because you can't apply the scientific method. Someone could go back to that place and have a totally different experience.
Just made me think of it. And then one more question. Who do you look up to in this field?
Man, I'm really lucky to where I worked with Katrina Weidman for a long time, and
On Portals to Hell, right?
Yeah, on Portals. And Katrina is such a phenomenal investigator. She has such a healthy approach to this. She's so well educated in the genre. It felt like, working with Katrina for as long as I did, and do. I mean, we still do. We're doing some podcasting stuff together. It was like having my own professor with me. So Katrina, I definitely look up to the way she investigates. But the originals, like, Jason Hawes, fantastic investigator, wealth of knowledge, and that's the people that have been in the field for double-digit years and have done hundreds and hundreds of investigations. They're going to have a certain skill set which is just developed through time and experience.
And finally, do you think about the audience at home when you're filming these? What do you want our experience to be watching?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I do, because there's times where stuff will happen, and I've done this for so long, and I know what will play and what doesn't. I know, like, if you feel something, you have to really be descriptive. You have to really, like, oh, I'm feeling this, and here's why, and what, who, what, when, where, and why. And no, but normally if you were just on a ghost hunt, you'd be like, oh, this feels weird. You wouldn't sit there and explain the feeling.
Yeah, you were going to each room, each level. There's a couple different levels at the Glen Tavern, and you were explaining, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Or even when you had the gentleman come in who was that, he was just like, it's a bad feeling. I feel like I'm getting chopped in the head right now. I mean, those things are so eerie and descriptive.
And you have to describe that for the viewer at home. Because then it brings everyone in, lets them know like, oh wow, like that's unique, that's different, that's not a normal thing to feel if you're walking around some quaint bed and breakfast.
Well, you definitely piqued my interest, and I've been Googling all night about ghosts and paranormal activities. What's that?
Is the season.
Yeah, by the way, this is spooky season. I'm telling you, this is the show that you're going to want to watch. Get your pumpkin spice and whatever you want with your pumpkin spice. Watch this on the Travel Channel, premiering this Sunday, October 1st. Episodes airing weekly. I'm telling you, you're going to dig this. It is something different that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did, because I enjoy getting spooked out, and I was genuinely spooked out. I really was shocked about the Sharon Osbourne of it all at the very end. And just congratulations. You are just a sure-footed host. I was really just like, you were so solid in this where I would have been pissing my pants, and you really take us through these things. I think it's because we trust you. So Jax Osbourne, thank you so much for being here. And by the way, I once went to a Virgin Megastore when the Osbournes DVD first came out and had I waited in line and had your entire family sign this DVD that I still proudly own.
Was that in New York City?
No, that was Virgin Megastore, right where like a Sunset and Crescent Heights.
Oh, wow. Okay. I remember doing a signing in New York City at the Virgin Megastore. I don't remember that one.
No, I don't think you were there. It was Kelly, your dad, and your mom.
Okay.
And I was working at the Burke Williams massage place that used to be in Virgin Megastore. And I was in a suit, and your mom was like, Kelly, he dressed nicely. You didn't, your mom, it was hysterical. Anyways, Jax Osbourne's, Night of Terror this Sunday. Please check it out. And thanks once again, Jack.
Thank you.